Part 127. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1263. No one is up. Then I'll come in the Void God realm. The God King Kong finally made a move. The Void Beast is good at the power of space. Zhang Zizai thought that he might use space cutting, and then completely separate each fragment, splitting it in different spaces to prevent it from being reassembled. He really did so. The Void Beast was transparent and almost invisible. It was very mysterious. It can be seen that he has a very strong ability to control space. Everyone once thought that he could succeed, but what they didn't expect was that even if they were separated by space, those broken fragments could pass through space and finally merge together again, becoming even bigger. After trying 2 ways of closing, they still failed in the end. Even the God King Kong failed. Everyone was already very troubled. Many people now dare not go up to try, because the horror of this crystal lion has made many people tremble in their hearts, and they are even ready to escape. If these people try to make this crystal lion so strong that it defies the heavens, we will suffer. And the silent God King, I wonder if he can do it. While people were discussing, the silent God King also went up. He had a very strong control over the power of time. The time beast could travel in time. Perhaps only Zhang Zizai could see that he wanted to make the time of each part of the crystal lion's body fall into different time flows to prevent it from reorganizing, but he still failed. These fragments could even escape the power of time. Lu Shizhen also failed. Everyone couldn't help but lament that the last group of people who had hope had failed. There might be no way to deal with this crystal lion. Advise some people to leave quickly. If they don't leave, it will be too late. We can't kill it. If we defeat it, we can make it stronger. How can we fight it? Zhao Wuxian sneered. He even looked at the power of time and space, but he failed, so he thought that there was absolutely no other possibility. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Although he may not want to admit it, he has actually given up. He may have a lot of luck, but he also has to live. If this crystal beast does not disappear, it will definitely become a devil that everyone trembles in this ancient realm. After all, it is so shameless that it will die if you touch it, but you can't break it. The more you break it, the stronger it will be. Let me try it too. There are still many top-level gods who don't believe in evil. They go up one by one. Most of them have self-knowledge. If they don't succeed once, they will not continue to try, so as not to make this crystal lion too strong too quickly. Despite this, after more than 20 attempts by the gods, this crystal lion has become 5 times larger than at the beginning. Now its size is at the same level as the totem beasts of the top gods. And it is even harder to kill it now. That crystal body is sometimes almost impossible to break. Then, an incident occurred, which made many people almost give up completely, and even left directly. Although they knew that this was a great opportunity, they did not want to put their lives in it. This incident was that a 9th-level God King was directly rubbed by the claws of the crystal beast when trying, and then in the next moment, his whole body turned into crystal, and then shattered on the spot, and his body was completely destroyed. Even the 9th-level God King died tragically. Who else would dare to go up now except Zhao Wuxian and Huang 11 at this level? On the side of the Supreme Dragon Clan, the God King Guanzhou did not dare to go up again, because he knew that he was not much different from the God King, and he might die if he went up at this time. No one went up, but the crystal beast would take the initiative to attack. When no one restricted it, it would naturally rush towards everyone. Go. There were more than 300 people present, and many of them made a prompt decision and left directly, otherwise in the chaos, if the crystal lion caught up, they would definitely die a lot. In this chaos, people never expected that there would be a large number of golden words appearing in the ruins around. The golden text reads, Zhang Junjian of the Sacrifice Dragon Divine Realm has obtained the Crystal Beast Heart, which is the basis for taking the first place in the 49 sacrifices. You can get it by killing it during the 49 sacrifices. Everyone was stunned and excited. It turns out that there are other crystal beasts. It turns out that this crystal beast heart is the basis for the first place in the 49 sacrifices, which means that if you want to take the first place in the 49 sacrifices, you must have a crystal beast heart. The most important thing is that you can get the crystal beast heart by killing the person who got the crystal beast heart. It's Zhang Junjian from the Sacrifice Dragon Divine Realm again. How can this person be so resourceful? How did he do it? People were simply stunned because they couldn't imagine it at all. And everyone knows that Zhang Junjian had obtained the heavenly artifact Teihao Tianta before. So far, he is the person with the highest harvest in this ancient realm. To be honest, this golden text made many people come back again, because the attraction is too great, no one can resist it. People die for money, birds die for food, even if their lives are indeed in danger, but now everyone is reluctant to leave. I'll try again, anyway you don't dare to come up. Zhao Wuxian was a little unwilling to intercept the crystal beast again. This is risking his life, because the crystal beast is very strong now. Brother, be careful. There was a young man next to him, who looked similar to him, named Zhao Wuxian, and was the 7th level of the God King. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Wuxian broke the crystal beast again. This time he used other methods to directly crush all the crystal fragments into powder. Unfortunately, he still failed, because even if it was powder, it could be reassembled, and it would only make the crystal lion bigger in the end. What a waste of time. Everyone couldn't help but sneer, but sneer was sneer. Now people were being chased by the crystal beast, but they were reluctant to leave. The gods were in a very bad state, hiding from here and there, but they didn't dare to take action again. Let me try once. Suddenly there was a strange and young voice. Everyone was very curious. Who would have the courage to go up at this time? In the corner of the Holy Dragon City, a young man in black walked out. Zhang. On the side of the Supreme Dragon Clan, several gods almost called out his name, but the God King Guanzhou stopped them quickly. He knew how many treasures Zhang Zizai had on him, but at this time, he actually appeared, which gave the God King Guanzhou a headache. Don't embarrass yourself. You are just joining in the fun with your realm. Get out of here, the God King Guanzhou reminded him quickly. He took advantage of the fact that no one recognized Zhang Zizai yet, so he scolded him like this. In fact, he was also reminding Zhang Zizai that his current behavior was very dangerous. Indeed, when Zhang Zizai said this, most people just glanced at him and regarded his words as a joke. No one paid attention to this person at all. It was obvious that he was just a young and ignorant person who had never suffered any loss. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1264. The God of Light kept winking at Zhang Zizai, asking him to leave quickly. Unexpectedly, Zhang Zizai not only did not leave, but rushed directly towards the crystal beast. No one paid any attention to him at all, because everyone was hiding from the crystal beast at this time. If someone rushed up to die, it would just help others to block it a little. Now the crystal beast has become so powerful that it has become a nightmare. Who dares to go up? Even Zhao Wuxian is now afraid of it, and the God of Light can't get close. In this way, Zhang Zizai went forward without hesitation and met the crystal lion. He went against the crowd. This kind of courage was a brain disease for other gods. The confrontation between him and the crystal lion broke out in an instant. Since Zhang Zizai came, he had an idea. During this period of time, he observed a lot. He has the soul of the sky god. When everyone went up, he observed more carefully than anyone else. At the beginning, he did find that this thing was likely to be immortal. But in several attempts, Zhang Zizai saw its god, its soul. Even though it was completely invisible, Zhang Zizai saw that it was controlled by the soul. This was a strange creature, so incredible, but it actually had a twisted and chaotic soul, and this soul was the key to controlling everything about it. When Huang 11 of the Holy Phoenix clan used a mirror to burn the soul, Zhang Zizai clearly saw that it actually trembled that time. It was really painful, but Huang 11 herself didn't notice it and changed her mind directly. Others also used the method of soul attack, but the intensity was not enough to really make it collapse. All physical attacks could make it continue to grow. But such a terrible creature must have weaknesses, otherwise it would have ruled the world long ago. Its weakness is likely to be in the soul, and Zhang Zizai happens to be best at soul attack. So, when he collided with the crystal beast in the eyes of everyone's ridicule, he mainly did three things. The first thing was to use the Chaos Water Bell and the Chaos Gold Bell to completely protect himself from being touched by the opponent, and use the Chaos Thunder Bell to increase speed and improve his flexibility. The second thing was to use the Chaos Soul Bell to directly cover the forehead of the crystal beast and directly play the Requiem. The melodious bell sounded directly. When the bell sounded, the crystal beast really stopped moving. The third thing was to hold the ancient black fire pillar. When the Requiem was successfully suppressed and changed into the soul-killing song, the ancient black fire pillar was directly swung around and smashed on the top of the crystal lion's head in full view of the public. This was Zhang Zizai's strongest means of explosion based on the heavenly soul. His heavenly soul came from the 10th floor of the ancestral dragon tower. It was the heavenly soul based on the illusory dragon and was naturally deterrent. This stick and the heaven-defying soul-killing song hit the crystal lion's head like a storm. Bang! The crystal lion did not break, and there was not even a scar, because this was a soul attack. However, it suddenly stopped moving, only uttered a whine at the end, and then began to change and shrink. In a short moment, it turned into a crystal heart and melted directly into Zhang Zizai's body and into the heart of the reincarnation dragon. At this moment, Zhang Zizai was not sure what effect this crystal beast heart could have. He felt that the change was not very big, but this kind of change was definitely not based on feelings. Even if this crystal beast heart was useless, at least it was the key to pry open the first of the 49 sacrifices. The crystal beast was dead, and he relied on his own judgment and succeeded completely. Zhang Zizai was indeed a little excited. This time it was very risky, but there was no way. If he missed this opportunity, there might be no better opportunity, so he had to take the risk, but the result was good. He succeeded again. This time success can be said to be completely beyond everyone's expectations. When the crystal lion disappeared, he stood in place, surrounded by a crowd of people who were as silent as death. You succeeded, Xuanhuan God King and his men came to him in a hurry. Each of them was dumbfounded and stared at Zhang Zizai in a daze, but they at least knew that getting the crystal beast heart might be the beginning of trouble. So, they subconsciously surrounded him. Let's go, Xuanhuan God King reacted and directly grabbed Zhang Zizai. A group of them turned into dragons and flew up in an instant, rushing out of the crowd. His reaction was fast enough, because just now Zhang Junjian got the crystal beast heart, and it was written on it that it could be killed, and Zhang Zizai was obviously the same, and there were too many things on him that could be killed now. The ancient black fire god pillar. He is Zhang Zizai. He got the crystal beast heart. And the two-world talisman. At this time, someone roared directly, showing their excitement. At this time, they were even crazier than seeing the crystal beast, because the crystal beast was difficult to deal with, and Zhang Zizai was said to be a god. Chase. In their opinion, the current Zhang Zizai is a peerless treasure. He has obtained too many fortunes. Only by killing him can he obtain all the fortunes. Zhang Zizai had expected this to happen. Otherwise, why do you say that this is the most terrifying adventure? Now looking back, most people stared at him with red eyes. That look was as if they had been hungry for years. They trembled with excitement, especially Zhao Wuxian. He would not hide his emotions. He continued to rush up at the first moment. At the same time, the golden text appeared again. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Zhang Zizai of the Dragon God realm, got the crystal beast heart, and it can be obtained by killing it. As expected, it can still be obtained by killing it. The danger at this moment is difficult to describe in words. Go north, Zhang Zizai said hurriedly. Fortunately, the Guanzhou God King and his men reacted quickly and opened up the distance at the beginning, so that Zhang Zizai had room to escape. After hearing Zhang Zizai's order, they quickly went north and rushed out of the Holy Dragon City. As soon as they left the Holy Dragon City and climbed over a mountain, the others were about to catch up. Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul clearly controlled the overall situation. Behind the mountain, a huge lake appeared in front of them. This lake was larger than the Holy Dragon City and very deep, equivalent to an inland sea. This was the water source of the Holy Dragon City. The Holy Dragon City was halfway up the mountain, and the lake was below. Go down, only then did the God King Guanzhou realize that he had thought of a way to escape, but even if there was a lake to hide in, how could he escape? When approaching the lake, Zhang Zizai smashed into it and disappeared in an instant. At this time, the others had already arrived. Supreme Dragon Clan, the God King Guanzhou and his men had no choice. They were surrounded in an instant, but people clearly saw that Zhang Zizai had entered the lake, so it was useless to surround the God King Guanzhou and his men now. They couldn't surround and kill so many Supreme Dragon Clan, and it was useless, so those God Kings rushed into the lake one after another. Boom boom boom. The whole lake was boiling. He must be finished. Even the God Kings of the Supreme Dragon Clan said so. How could he hide in this lake? This is still a lake in the ancient realm. If it was really a lake in the Totem world, a God King could blow it away with his breath. Continue to ask for tickets for the golden ceremony. Right. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1265. Zhang Zizai had discovered long ago that this lake was large enough, almost like a vast ocean. Even if they all turned into totem beasts and came in, they could come and go freely in it. If they wanted to burn the water of the entire lake dry, it would take some time. Zhang Zizai didn't know whether there was such a large lake in Shenlong City on the origin continent, but everything here was the same as on the origin continent, indicating that it should exist. In fact, Zhang Zizai didn't know that this was the foundation for the establishment of Shenlong City by the Tianlong Holy Dynasty. It was the holy lake in the hearts of the people of the Tianlong Holy Dynasty, named Shenlong Lake. Looking down from a high altitude, the appearance of Shenlong Lake was very much like a giant dragon that was coiled up all the time. The water of Shenlong Lake was not clear, but there was a golden luster that could block the view, which also gave Zhang Zizai the capital to escape. After entering Shenlong Lake, he expanded the control range of his heavenly soul to the extreme, and the whereabouts of all enemies were almost under his control. There were still many people who were still locking onto him, so he quickly used chaos lightning to dive deep into the lake. At this time, the pursuers also came in one after another, causing the entire lake to vibrate. In this lake, the chaos water clock had a special effect. Surrounded by thousands of green waves, Zhang Zizai seemed to be assimilated with the lake water, which made it difficult for the pursuers who relied on their eyes and souls to lock onto Zhang Zizai to find his true location. Once they lost the clue, Zhang Zizai would be like a stone sinking into the sea for them. For a while, they were anxious and irritable. Zhang Zizai was different from the crystal beast. He was definitely a hot commodity, like a piece of fat dangling in front of people's eyes. Everyone had a chance, so now everyone was in a state of scrambling, all diving into the Holy Dragon Lake and chasing wildly, but when they all came in, some people went in different directions, and they were confused themselves, and they didn't know whether the person they sensed in front was Zhang Zizai or someone else. Guard by the lake. No, this lake is too big, how can we guard it all? Just chase. Separate, but don't act alone, go in groups of 3 or 2. Hurry up, Zhang Zizai is too weak, whoever meets him is just luck. Don't let others get ahead. In fact, Zhang Zizai's biggest reliance is the competition between them. They are not a whole, but a group of people in different camps, and they will even fight each other at critical moments. He was too lazy to care about so much anyway. Since they all came in, since they all dispersed, and cast a net to find Zhang Zizai, then Zhang Zizai, since he has escaped the most dangerous time, naturally relies on his superior heavenly soul to avoid some people who are difficult for him to deal with. After all, there are so many of them. If they disperse like this, they may run into people no matter where they go, so Zhang Zizai can only choose to go to some slightly weaker people. In this way, sometimes they may even pass by them, and they may not be able to distinguish Zhang Zizai. After all, they just took a quick glance just now. Some people don't know what Zhang Zizai looks like, and they can't find him even if they chase him in. Let them disperse completely first, then I will find a chance to go ashore and escape. There must be someone waiting by the lake, but the lake is so big that there are only 100 people outside, and it is impossible to defend it. Zhang Zizai can choose a place where there is no one to go ashore. This Holy Dragon Lake has already achieved the purpose of making people lose track of him. Relying on the heavenly God soul, he can completely deal with it. He only needs to avoid some powerful people. His heavenly God soul always knows the location of the people around him. For example, he basically knows where Zhao Wuxian, Huang 11, Kong Shenwang and others are. The time is almost right. Now these people have basically dispersed, and Zhang Zizai is far away from those who pose a greater threat to him. He chose a direction with the least number of people and prepared to go ashore here and escape. Interestingly, the direction with the least number of people now is the direction he came from, that is, the direction of Holy Dragon City. Everyone has gone in, but there are the least people here. Zhang Zizai moves left and right, avoiding some god kings who are not a big threat to him, and quietly approaches the lakeshore here. Sometimes, he even passed by those god kings, and because the Chaos Water Bell concealed them very well, Zhang Zizai was basically not noticed. The lakeshore was in front of him. As long as he went up and blended into the jungle, he could immediately escape with the crystal beast heart. Zhang Zizai, suddenly someone chased him from the side. Zhang Zizai was stunned for a moment. He was a little careless just now, thinking that the person on the side could not find him. Unexpectedly, he was really discovered by him. He looked closely and found that this person was a member of the Chaos Cave Demon clan, following the side of the god King Wu Tian, and looked similar to him. Zhang Zizai had heard the conversation between him and the god King Wu Tian, and he should be the younger brother of the god King Wu Tian, Zhao Wuxian. His strength may be around the 7th level of the God King realm. For Zhang Zizai in the past, this was already a terrible God King that he could only look up to, but now is different from the past. He has classified the other party as a God King who is not threatening, so Zhang Zizai did not hide from him just now. But now that he has been discovered, he must react quickly. When the opponent rushed towards him, Zhang Zizai suddenly exploded. At this time, the opponent probably wanted to eat Zhang Zizai alone and didn't even want to notify his brother, so even the totem beast didn't change, for fear of making too much noise. Neither of them wanted to make a scene, so they fought directly. To be honest, this opponent was very strong, but Zhang Zizai had no time to fight him. As soon as he came up, he used the 9 dragons Chaos God Bell and the ancient Black Fire God Pillar, and combined with the infinite sky-splitting slash and the infinite time-splitting blade to suppress him directly. When the Chaos Soul Bell's Requiem formed an absolute suppression, and when the 3 Chaos Giant Bells controlled him, Zhang Zizai's ancient Black Fire God Pillar directly hit Zhao Wuxin's head with 2 sticks, one for the time-splitting blade and one for the sky-splitting slash. Zhao Wuxin never expected that when the two met, he couldn't even move before being hit by Zhang Zizai's sudden deadly killing power. When he was hit, he thought he could hold on, but he didn't expect that Zhang Zizai's human strength was more terrifying than the body of his totem beast. After 2 consecutive sticks, he was suppressed by the Chaos Soul Bell and was hit hard. In an instant, his soul and body were severely damaged. Although he didn't die in the battle directly, his trauma made him faint instantly. He had to put his soul into a dormant state to survive, otherwise he would continue to disintegrate. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1266. In a silent encounter, Zhang Zizai directly caused Zhao Wuxin to be severely injured on the spot, dying, on the verge of death, and directly lost all his mental will. Zhang Zizai did not stop at all. He felt that several people had noticed the breadth of his 2 great divine weapons and were catching up, so he quickly rushed out of the water, entered the jungle in a blink of an eye, and disappeared in the canyon abyss in front. During this process, Zhang Zizai and Guanzhou God King and others met. They did not follow into the lake, but stood there. They saw Zhang Zizai escape from it with their own eyes. Just now, they helped him a little, so he had room to escape, so Zhang Zizai smiled at them and disappeared from their sight. In fact, they were very worried, and that was why they were so surprised when they saw Zhang Zizai appear. He escaped. It should be. Everyone else is in the lake, but he has come out easily. Maybe no one knows he came out from here. As long as there is time, he should be able to hide again and no one can find him. Just this time now is enough. Guanzhou God King narrowed his eyes and looked at the direction where Zhang Zizai disappeared. This ancient realm is really too big and very mysterious. He knew that if he relied on himself, he could not catch up with Zhang Zizai now. He could clearly see that Zhang Zizai had made great progress. Has this guy improved? So fast? So brave. I remember when he first came, his combat power was about the 3rd level of God King. Now he can escape from such a chase, which is definitely not simple. It is also possible that he just increased his speed. After all, you and I are both in the God King realm. We know how slowly flesh and blood grow. No matter how high your talent is, it is sometimes useless. What method did he use to increase his speed like this? Talisman. Just as they were discussing, many people suddenly rushed out of the lake and chased directly in the direction where Zhang Zizai disappeared, including the top figures. Where are the people? The God King Wu Tian suddenly rushed in front of them, his eyes fierce and blood red, staring at the God King Guanyao and the others, and roared in a low voice. Who are you asking? The God King Guanyao said lightly. My brother was almost beaten to death. Just wait and see, Supreme Dragon Clan, the God King Wu Tian roared in a low voice. The people in front had already chased forward, so of course he could only follow again. All the people who saw him also chased in that direction, leaving the God King Guanyao and the others looking at each other in bewilderment. It's been a while, I guess they can't catch up. I think Zhang Zizai's ability to disappear is really strong. Anyway, this guy is used to running for his life. He was almost killed in the Zilong Academy. A God King of the Demon Dragon Heaven clan said. What did Zhao Wutian mean just now? The God King Guanyao pondered for a while, and suddenly saw a member of the Hundong Demon clan holding a young man coming out of the lake. The young man was pale and had lost his mind. He looked almost dead. Zhao Wuxin? Is he injured? Looking at the attitude of God King Wu Tian, it must be. He is seriously injured. I know what God King Wu Tian meant just now. Is he saying that our people injured his brother? We didn't even enter the lake, someone laughed. No, his soul was seriously injured. The injury to his flesh and blood came from the space rupture, and it can be healed. God King Guanzhou frowned. Zhang Zizai defeated the crystal beast with the help of the ancient black fire pillar and the chaos soul bell. In other words, he said that the attack on the soul of the sky is very terrible. What God King Wu Tian meant is that Zhao Wuxin was defeated by Zhang Zizai. How is it possible? Zhang Zizai is only in his 20s. How can Zhao Wuxin be the 7th level of God King? I can't take him down. But this should be the fact. God King Guanzhou didn't dare to think about such a question. If he thought about it, he would probably suffocate. It was completely unbelievable. Isn't he still a godly lord? He should have just become a godly king. It's only been a few months. How can he achieve the same results as others who have practiced for hundreds or thousands of years? Since ancient times, even the most extraordinary geniuses need more than 1,000 years to reach the 7th level from the 3rd level of godly king's combat power. They looked at each other in bewilderment, unable to calm down for a long time. They found that Zhang Zizai, whom they used to treat as a child, seemed to be a little out of control in this ancient realm. He was growing wildly in a terrifying way, and even the God of Glory shuddered at this time. 5 years later, who knows what he will be like when he returns to the dragon sacrifice divine realm in 5 years? Will we still be able to control him then? I thought I had thousands of years to educate him well, but now no one knows that he has grown like this. What should we do next? The gods have no way of knowing. Now that this ancient realm has come in, don't even think about spreading the news. If it was just progress, they might be happy. But is it just progress now? That boy suddenly made them feel terrified. They still regarded Zhang Zizai as a child, but they did not expect that, without knowing it, the child suddenly turned into a bloody killer overnight, which made everyone present feel terrified. It's only been half a year. If he keeps improving at this rate. Everyone. I know the reason. You forgot that he has the heart of the true dragon of reincarnation. He must have entered the state of reincarnation to defeat Zhao Wuxin just now, so he could cross the realm and defeat Zhao Wuxin suddenly, a god king said loudly. Oh, why did I forget this too? Haha, that's how it is. It seems that he was too scared when he was being hunted, which triggered the reincarnation state. I was wondering why it was so terrifying. It turned out to be this reason. This makes a lot more sense. How can someone take half a year to achieve the hard training of others for thousands of years? The growth of the God King is slow. The totem beast needs to grow slowly. After all, the lifespan is strong. Every person who has just become a God King is like the birth of a top-level young beast. It takes countless time to grow up before it can become an adult and have the opportunity to challenge the gods. A lifespan of 100 years takes 18 years to grow up. A lifespan of tens of thousands of years, of course, also requires tens of thousands of years to grow to the peak. However, most of the God Kings, because of their talent limits, stop growing at a certain level until they die. The explanation finally makes sense. Many people chased out and never came back, so it is unknown whether they caught up with Zhang Zizai. The Supreme Dragon Clan was also preparing to leave. Now that they had gathered together, they had no intention of separating. They would act together. Although the chance of getting first place in the 49 festivals had become smaller, at least their ability to survive had increased. Here, they had to at least save their lives first, and then talk about other things. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1267. In fact, we are in the Dragon God realm because Zhang Junjian and Zhang Zizai have indeed been in the limelight. Yes, in fact, they look similar. I said that Zhang Zizai is likely to be the son of the heavenly Dragon God King, but they have not admitted it. These father and son are both so amazing? The heavenly dragon god king was so low-key before? I didn't know he was so strong. Speaking of the heavenly dragon god king, the glory god king shook his head and smiled, saying, "He is indeed very scary. I have fought with him privately, and I am not his opponent in one move. In fact, I estimate that none of the god kings of our entire supreme dragon clan is his opponent. So strong? My magic, those people from the Dragon Heaven clan are not his opponents? You guys are not much stronger than me, and you can't compare with Zhang Junjian. Look at this Zhang Zizai, who has been chasing from the ancient gods to the present and has grown all the way. You know that Zhang Junjian is not simple. What is going on with this Zhang Junjian? What kind of luck do they have in the Qingchuan small divine realm? I must go and see it later." Yes. When they were about to leave, the people from the mixed whole demon clan returned at this time. The face of the Wutian god king was gloomy, and ink could almost drip out. When he came back, he didn't say a word, checked Zhao Wuxin's injuries, and then stared coldly at the people from the Supreme Dragon clan. Comparing the strength, the mixed whole demon clan is definitely stronger on both sides, but it is not so easy to take down the Supreme Dragon clan. At least half of them will die, so the Guanzhou God King is not afraid of him. Why didn't the Wutian God King continue to chase? Could it be that Zhang Zizai has been caught? Guanzhou God King asked. Wutian Divine King did not answer coldly. It can be seen from this that none of them found Zhang Zizai and basically returned empty-handed. In that case, we'll leave first. They turned around and were about to leave. Wait, Wutian Divine King stared at them and asked, didn't Zhang Zizai just become a divine king from a divine lord? How could he defeat my brother? How could he be so fast? Guanzhou Divine King and the others looked at each other, and finally Guanzhou Divine King said, Zhang Zizai, when he was not a divine king yet, he could rely on the heavenly divine artifact to defeat the opponent of the third level of the divine king. Now that he has become a divine king, he is not Zhao Wuxin's opponent, but he can enter the state of reincarnation with the heart of the true dragon of the reincarnation of my clan. Reincarnation state, Wutian Divine King must have heard of it. He narrowed his eyes. This can be explained, otherwise he can't figure it out at all. Then I'll see how many times he can go through reincarnation. God King Wutian gritted his teeth and said. He came back to bring Zhao Wuxian, and then a group of people had to continue chasing. They had searched very far just now, and they were worried that they could not return to this place and lose contact with Zhao Wuxian, so they had to come back quickly. No need to see you off. Supreme Dragon Clan, wait and see. God King Wutian said the last sentence, and then left with a group of mixed whole demons. Why did you tell them about Zhang Zizai's trump card? They asked God King Guanzhou. It's good for Zhang Zizai to let them underestimate Zhang Zizai. God King Guanzhou said. What do you mean? I just suddenly thought, is it possible that it is not a reincarnation state at all, but a comprehensive suppression? God King Guanzhou said. They all laughed and thought that God King Guanzhou was a little naive. It was already reasonable, but he had to say it was unreasonable. This is really funny. A desperate escape, until there was no one left within the range of his heavenly soul, which meant that no one could catch up with him. The crystal beast heart was now successfully obtained. In fact, although the process was thrilling, he was not injured at all, and even those strong men did not touch him. He is now skilled and daring. If he had not reached the fourth level of the Divine King realm, he would probably not have such courage and strength. Although the crystal beast heart seems to have no effect now, and it seems to have disappeared, after all, Qingyang Taigu God said that this is the capital for the first place in the 49 sacrifices. Now only he and Zhang Junjian have obtained such capital and may become the first, but I don't know how others are. I don't know how many such crystal beast hearts there are. Zhang Zizai's rhythm was not planned. Continue to look for the Divine Beast King. He went to the northwest of the Tianlong Holy Dynasty. He had never been there. There seemed to be no divine beast king nearby. Staying here can only be said to be a waste of time. So he went all the way north and continued his journey. In a blink of an eye, another 2 or 3 months passed. During this period, he gained very little, only 1 or 2 divine beast kings, which were not of high level, and it was impossible for him to continue to improve. But he was still very patient. On this day, he suddenly saw a golden text. Void God Realm, Kong Kong God King, got the crystal beast heart. Kill him to get it? This guy should have referred to Zhang Zizai's method to get the crystal beast heart, or it is possible that the method of cracking each crystal beast heart is different. This is the third person. Zhang Zizai had seen him at that time. This guy was indeed weird and powerful. He should be one of the top strong men in this ancient realm. He didn't care too much and continued to search with the heavenly god soul. He didn't find the divine beast king, but the location in front of him gave him a familiar feeling. This was a barren mountain range, even the land was black and grey, very dead and boring, and there were strange rocks. From a distance, it seemed like a beast. Zhang Zizai came to this area and walked through the barren mountains and canyons. 8 days later, he stopped in front of a mountain peak. There was a dark cemetery at the foot of the mountain. The tomb door was built at the foot of the mountain. So it is very likely that there are graves inside the mountain peak, and at least Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul feels that there are many strange things inside. What shocked him even more was that there was a plaque on the door of the tomb, with the 3 words Xuanhuan engraved on it. Xuanhuan? How could Zhang Zizai not know Xuanhuan? Shen Xiao and Yan'er were chased and ran into this place. It may even be that the scope of this desolate land is the scope of Zilongyuan, but the real Zilongyuan is behind the tomb door, and the 2 of them should have been hiding in it, and gained some fortune. Especially Shen Xiao, relying on the good luck he got inside, has managed to survive to this day. Xuanhuan. Zhang Zizai stood at the door. He knew that Shen Xiao had been blessed in Zilongyuan. Those so-called ancestral dragon souls were definitely beyond the level of ordinary ancient gods. It was very strange for a totem world to have such ancestral dragon souls. In the origin, ancestral dragon abyss is a strange place on the mainland, let alone ancestral dragon abyss in this ancient realm. The tomb door looked very simple. Now that he had found this place, Zhang Zizai was of course ready to go in and take a look. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1268. He tried to hit the tomb door directly with external force. What made him depressed was that he spent half a day, exerting all his strength, and tried everything, but he couldn't break in. He didn't give up, and tried for about 3 more days. For such a long time, he tried everything, even digging tunnels in other places, but he couldn't succeed. This was really a headache, but there was no way. He felt that this Zilongyuan must be the key place, but he just couldn't get in. He had no choice. But if he had to leave like this, it seemed a bit reluctant, but there was no divine beast king nearby, and staying here was also a waste of time. Zhang Zizai decided to think about it more. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamond suit. I never expected that on this day, the tomb door did not change, and a flower actually grew in the barren land in front of the tomb door. The flower grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, and rushed into the sky in a very short time. The 7 petals emitted colorful light, which was very enchanting. The black petals were still similar to the black petals in Zhang Zizai's natal totem. This was the petal that Zhang Zizai encountered last time, but no one got it that time. When the petal appeared, the light ball also appeared. The huge light ball enveloped the petal, just blocking the tomb door. Standing outside the light ball, it was obvious that the light ball was very obvious. A huge light ball appeared on the horizon from a long distance. Now there is only me here. Zhang Ziyi naturally rushed up to pick the flower without saying anything, but what disappointed him was that even if he had a crystal beast heart, he was not qualified to touch the colorful flower. Before he got close, he was shaken out by a wave of light. I don't believe it. He continued to try, and was frustrated here in Xuanhuan. Unexpectedly, he would still be frustrated in front of this colorful flower. He used all methods and tried dozens of times, but still failed. This fact made him depressed, and he felt that his luck was not as good as he imagined, and he could succeed in everything he did. And after trying dozens of times, he lost the opportunity to continue trying because someone was attracted. The people who came were still a group of people who posed a great threat to Zhang Ziyi, that is, the mixed whole demon clan, or the group headed by Zhao Wuxian. To this day, they are still carrying Zhao Wuxian, who was defeated by Zhang Ziyi, and have already taken action. Zhao Wuxian has recovered his consciousness, but his face is pale, his body is weak, and he needs someone to help him walk. When the people of the mixed whole demon clan came, Zhang Ziyi could only hide. There are no lakes nearby. If they are targeted, it will be difficult to get rid of them, so this time they must be more cautious. After all, they have been practicing for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. They obviously saw the colorful flowers for the first time, so they were very curious. After a while, they started to try. Wuxian God King went up first, and he really left and walked to a very close position, but he failed in the end. He did not give up and continued to try with others. At this time, other people were attracted by the light ball. At first, there were only a dozen people, and they came from different divine domains. Wu Tian God King prohibited them from trying, but then more and more people came. When more than 30 people arrived, they had to give up the restriction, otherwise their Hundong demon clan might be besieged. It's so lively. Then, even the Holy Phoenix clan was attracted. They actually came nearby, still led by Huang 11. They were more numerous, with more than 20 people. Although the Hundong demon clan had seized the initiative, even Wu Tian God King couldn't do anything. He didn't worry that Huang 11 and his team would succeed. Sure enough, the Holy Phoenix clan also tried, but all failed. Although the flower was beautiful, no one could get close. Later, more and more people gathered, at least hundreds of people. Almost no one from the Supreme Dragon clan came here, but Lu Shizhen and several companions from the Guangshanai also came. Lu Shizhen tried it, and he was the closest person, but he didn't succeed. It is rumored that the Kong Kong God King got the crystal beast heart, Huang 11 asked. Lu Shizhen nodded without saying much. Kong Kong God King deserves it, no one dares to snatch it, Huang 11 said. In addition to them, there is another force, with more than a dozen people. Zhang Ziyi knew that this group of people came from the Kangxue Divine Domain by listening to their conversation. In the team of Kangxue Divine Domain, there is a very stunning existence. It can be said that even if the dignified and noble Huang 11 is here, she is still not as dazzling as this woman, because she is too beautiful. She has long snow-white light blue hair and ice blue crystal-like eyes. Her skin is as white as snow, smooth as jade, tender and natural, with a slender and tall figure, and a quiet expression, like a goddess in the ice and snow, equally noble, but more pure. There is no desire in her eyes, only quietness, and in Huang 11's eyes, there is more control and possession. This is the daughter of the Lord of the Kangxue Divine Territory, named Xuanhuan, and her title is Snow Worrying Divine King. The so-called Lord is actually a unique title. The Kangxue Divine Clan alone occupies the Kangxue Divine Territory, and there is only one ruler, so they call themselves the Lord of the Kangxue Divine Territory. For example, the Zhejiang divine territory, although it is also controlled by the Supreme Dragon clan alone, has 4 top beings, and there is no title of Lord. However, those who dare to call themselves domain masters are generally very powerful and must be invincible in their own divine domain. Xuanhuan is very talented. She has the inheritance of the gods. Her artifact, Blizzard God City, is a top artifact. Many gods desire it. Although she is at the 8th level of the God King realm, with the Blizzard God realm in her hands, even the 9th level God King is afraid of her. According to statistics, she is also the youngest among all the 8th and 9th level God Kings. It is said that the Lord of the Kangxi realm has prepared the path of the god for her. There is really no suspense about her becoming a god in the future. It is said that even the god Totem is ready. When she reaches the 9th level, she will evolve. She is so beautiful. The Kangxi god clan was born in the ice and snow. It does have a beauty that other god clan do not have. Zhang Zizai looked at it and it was indeed a breathtakingly beautiful feeling, but he felt that it was a bit too pure and too difficult to touch. This cleanliness was also a feeling of superiority. It was similar to Huang 11 in the end. Anyway, ordinary god kings don't even need to think about it, so he looked at it a few more times and was not very interested. The god king Yuxiu also went up there. She was so beautiful, but the colorful flower didn't get close to her and still threw her away. Since then, basically everyone has gone up there, but without exception, all failed. After that, they continued to persist and work hard, but no one succeeded. In the end, as expected, the colorful flower began to fall. Zhang Zizai's headache was that after the light ball disappeared, Zilongjia Yuan would be revealed. Early update, please vote for the ceremony. Thank you everyone. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1269. Just as Zhang Zizai expected, when the light ball and the colorful flowers disappeared, the door to the cemetery of Zilongjia Yuan appeared directly in front of everyone. Originally, it was the light ball that blocked it, and everyone's attention was on the colorful flowers. No one noticed it at all. When the colorful flowers disappeared, people were regretful and sad, but the next moment, a new door appeared in front of them. What is this, Zilongjia Yuan? These 3 words. It seems to be a tomb. A tomb in the ancient realm. Everyone's interest was completely aroused, and the major gods approached directly and took a good position to stand in front of the tomb door. For example, Zhao Yushan, Huang 11 and others must have stood directly in front of the tomb door. Although they did not dare to approach for the time being, they had already begun to ponder and study. There were nearly 200 gods in total, and they were not willing to leave at all. I am afraid that they would not leave before they figured out what this was. There is only one possible situation for a tomb to appear in the ancient realm. It is impossible for anyone to be buried here. The only possibility is that this should be a test set by Qingyang ancient god. Once you pass the test, you will definitely get good fortune, or even the first opportunity of the 49 sacrifices. That makes sense. Try it. Can this tomb door be opened? Who will try? They have begun to try to open the tomb door. Zhang Zizai has made countless attempts. He doesn't think that they can do what he can't do. There must be a mystery in this tomb door. It can't be opened by brute force, Zhang Zizai said firmly. He was not very worried. According to his estimation, these people would probably have to toss for a while. If there was really no gain, they would not waste too much time here. At this moment, Zhang Zizai never expected that when Zhao Yushan approached the tomb door and was about to try it out, the tomb door bounced open with a clang. This was a real bounce. He hadn't done anything yet, and the whole door was directly opened, as if welcoming him in. Thinking of how he had tried countless times but failed to open it, and then compared to Zhao Yushan opening it before he even got close, the difference between the two made Zhang Zizai dumbfounded. So he didn't have the best luck. In fact, even Zhao Wuxian himself was very surprised. He could only smile bitterly. Now standing at this position and looking inside, the ancestral dragon abyss was pitch black. With the eyes of the god kings, the range they could see was also very small. It was full of gloom and terror, which meant terrible danger. Zhao Wuxian didn't think that rushing into the ancestral dragon abyss first would give him any advantage, and he didn't think that he could stop others from entering, so he was willing to go with the flow and turned back to say to everyone, since Qingyang Taigu God is willing to test us and open the tomb door directly, then you don't have to be polite, please go in. You are timid and don't dare to go first. Huang 11 smiled faintly. She greeted the other people of the Holy Phoenix clan, stepped over Zhao Wuxian, and walked into the abyss first, instantly swallowed by the darkness. After entering, there was no sound at all. Some people have already entered, and no one is stopping them. In addition, the tomb door is very large, so many god kings are scrambling to enter it one after another. Several people from the Time God realm also entered very quickly. Zhao Wuxian was not in a hurry. He stayed behind and waited until almost everyone entered. He looked at a beautiful ice snow woman in the crowd. The woman's skin and appearance were all stunning, and she was so pure that she looked like white jade. Lianer, please. Zhao Wuxian smiled at Shui Yulian from the Kangxia god realm. Thank you. Shui Yulian nodded slightly and entered side by side with Zhao Wuxian. Other people from the Hundong demon clan and the Kangxia god realm were mixed together, occasionally talking, and seemed to have a good relationship. It can be seen that the two god realms should have some friendship, and it is normal for Zhao Wuxian to have some thoughts about a perfect and moving woman like Shui Yulian. They are not the supreme dragon clan, and they don't value blood inheritance very much. In fact, when the two tribes were on good terms, the demon emperor of Chaos Cave had mentioned the matter of marriage to the lord of Kangxia territory, but the lord of Kangxia territory declined temporarily because Shui Yulian wanted to concentrate on sprinting to the 9th level of the God King. However, this was not without opportunities. Shui Yulian would sooner or later become a 9th level God King. When they went in together, Zhang Zizai was the only one left outside. Within the range of the heavenly soul, because the light ball had disappeared, it would not attract other people to come here, and the number of people in Zhelanjiayuan should not increase. Zhang Zizai rushed in quickly. Qingyang Taigu God did not treat him preferentially. Everything in this Taigu realm was fair. Fortunately, he was fast. If he was a little later, the tomb door would be closed directly. If that were the case, Zhang Zizai would probably be dumbfounded. The moment he entered, Zhelanjiayuan closed, and in an instant, the only remaining light disappeared, as if the whole world was dark and you couldn't see your hand in front of you. Then there was some light, but it was emitted by the god kings themselves. Their own light was also limited by the darkness and concentrated in a very small range, which at most allowed them to look at and communicate with the people around them. After becoming a god king, I never thought there would be such a day. I feel like I have become blind. Someone joked. Be careful, it's too dark, and I don't know if there is any danger approaching. This seems to be a passage. Although it is very wide, you should go forward. Because it was too dark, no one was particularly daring to continue rushing forward. After all, they all valued their lives, especially those who had the hope of becoming gods. Even if they did not gain anything in the ancient realm, it was better than dying here. So they were still cautious and moved forward slowly. No one dared to leave the big team. Unless they were completely familiar with the ancestral dragon abyss. Now, they were more afraid of the unknown. Zhang Zizai found that in such a dim environment, the eyes played a very small role. He had a unique advantage. At least his divine soul could control a certain range. Within this range, he knew very well where everyone was, and he could basically hear what they said. For example, Zhao Wuxian was standing with Shui Yulian at this time, and was telling her to pay attention to safety and it was better to walk with him. Facing this dark place, Xuanhuan nodded slightly. She did not reject Zhao Wuxian, or on the surface. However, Huang 11 from the Holy Phoenix clan was very bold. At this time, she had taken the initiative to walk forward. This easily triggered the fear of missing out on the treasure among many god kings, so they hurried to follow her. In this way, the entire team began to move forward. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1270. Zhang Zizai was actually behind the crowd, but among so many god kings, none of them noticed him. Even if they saw such a person, they thought it might be another god king. Therefore, in Zhelanjiayuan, Zhang Zizai's unique advantage was indeed very effective. I was afraid that the surroundings would suddenly light up, and it would be difficult to escape. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. It was just such a dense darkness that it was hard to imagine what it would look like when it lit up. About 200 god kings continued to move forward. The passage was very long and seemed to have no end. In fact, Zhang Zizai could even defeat Zhao Wuxian, who was at the 7th level of the god king realm. Half of the god kings present might not be his opponents. His strength has reached the middle level slightly above the entire Taiku realm. If he were to chase him head-on, only a few dozen people might be able to catch up with him and crush him. Today is different from the past. He is no longer the Zhang Zizai who was surrounded and killed by the gods in the Zilong Academy. It has only been nearly a year since the opening of the ancient realm. He still has a lot of time in the future. This is too deep. Zhang Zizai followed a group of people and advanced in this passage for 7 days and 7 nights. For such a long time, it felt like he was standing still. Now there was endless darkness in front and behind. Nothing appeared during this period, and nothing was found. Just when everyone was about to lose their patience on the 10th day, changes finally appeared in front. At the end of the passage, an underground palace appeared. Inside the underground palace was a hall. The hall was very huge, empty inside, and it was also pitch black. There was nothing except about 100 statues. Be careful! Everyone reminded their companions, and then dispersed everywhere, exploring everywhere, looking for strange places. Zhang Zizai looked at one of the statues. He counted them. There were a total of 99 statues of this kind. They were all very tall, almost the same as the totem beasts of ordinary gods. What attracted his attention was that the statue looked particularly strange. It was a human body with a dragon head. In other words, it was a human standing dragon. It also had claws, a dragon head and a dragon tail, but it was standing on the ground. It was covered with dragon scales all over its body. Only the dragon head was exactly the same as the real dragon. This kind of statue can be said to be a dragon man statue. Apart from these statues, there is nothing else here. Many people noticed the statues like him, so they studied them separately. After all, there were 99 in total. Interestingly, a person next to him didn't know Zhang Zizai at all. He asked Zhang Zizai, "Do you think there is any mystery?" Zhang Zizai smiled and said, "Yes, this thing might come alive and eat us all." He was just joking. The material of this Dragon Man statue is basically the same as the surrounding walls. They are all some kind of rock. At most, it is a top-level divine ore. This is a pure dead thing, no different from the stones on the roadside. But just when he finished speaking, suddenly, he heard a scream. Zhang Zizai was stunned. His divine soul reacted faster and locked onto the location of the scream. When he turned back, he saw that one of the dragon statues in that direction was different. It was no longer a rock statue, but a living flesh and blood giant. Whether it was claws or dragon scales, everything was lifelike, no different from a divine beast. Even on it, Zhang Zizai felt the terrible flesh and blood power comparable to that of a divine beast, and also felt a power similar to that of a divine source. What on earth is this? If it was just a divine beast king, it would be impossible to transform between flesh and blood and rock. It felt like that kind of crystal beast, but it was completely different. It must be difficult to tell what it was. But at this moment, everyone suddenly saw that at the same time as the scream, the dragon beast suddenly came to life, and in an instant, it held down a divine king in front of it, stuffed it directly into its mouth, ate it in one bite, and chewed it directly. This time it was definitely dead and couldn't die anymore. Wuxin, suddenly, a scream was heard, which turned out to be from Zhao Wuxian. Zhang Zizai realized that the one who was eaten just now was Zhao Wuxin, who was defeated by him before. No wonder he had no ability to resist in front of this dragon statue. It turned out that he was still in a state of serious injury. In this way, Zhang Zizai was still an assist. Everyone knew that the God King Wuxian must be very miserable, but no one cared about them, because it was not just the dragon beast that ate Zhao Wuxin. In front of everyone, the 99 dragon statues were suddenly transformed, from the body of rock to the body of flesh and blood, giving birth to a terrifying body and power. Such an incredible scene can only be found in such a wonderful place as the ancient realm, which is simply astonishing. What the hell is this? Divine Beast King? Crystal Beast? I don't know, is this a spirit? Spirit is not like this. When these 99 dragon beasts appeared and began to fight, because of the suddenness, the scene was in chaos. Of course, the God Kings had seen the world before, and they quickly reacted and began to form a group to deal with it. Their numbers were originally greater than that of the dragon beast, and they basically formed a 2-to-1 siege. The battle started immediately. Zhang Zizai did not take action. He could easily roam the battlefield with the help of the heavenly god soul and chaos lightning. He was mainly observing. It can be seen that this dragon beast is definitely thick-skinned and very durable. Their offensive ability mainly comes from close combat. Their claws and dragon tails are their weapons. Once they are approached, they will be very difficult to deal with. The gods can only transform into totem beasts to fight. For a time, this huge underground palace became a group of beasts dancing wildly. The most obvious example is that the god King Wu Tian, who lost his brother, killed particularly violently. He transformed into the lion demon god and killed all around. Even the thick-skinned dragon beasts were torn in half by him. He killed several dragon beasts by himself to vent his anger. Finally, he let his companions hold him back and let him calm down and save some strength to face the test behind. The dragon beast appeared suddenly, but it would definitely not be the only test of Xuanhuan. The strength of their group is still stronger. If there are only 50 people, facing this very difficult to kill dragon beast, it is estimated that they will be very embarrassed, but 200 people are much easier. After fighting for about a quarter of an hour, nearly half of the dragon beasts were killed. But unfortunately, several god kings died in battle because of their lack of strength and stayed here forever. What's more terrifying is that after they died in battle, their bodies suddenly turned into stone and turned into statues, and then transformed into the appearance of dragon-like giant beasts, standing here. This ending is simply horrifying. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1271. The remaining dragon beasts were basically seriously injured, but they suddenly stopped and returned to the state of statues. After they turned back into statues, no matter how the gods attacked, they could not be damaged. The gods attacked for a while and found that the remaining 50 dragon beasts that had returned to the state of statues could no longer be beaten, so they gave up. After all, they did not suffer any losses. Now it was suddenly dead silent, and the battle seemed to be over. Zhang Ziyi counted and it seemed that there were only more than 170 people left. Excluding the few dead, there would not be so few people left. He hurriedly said, "Why does it seem that there are fewer people? Is there a passage to leave?" No one recognized his voice, but this sentence reminded Xuanhuan and others. Huang 11 is gone. They may have found the passage first and left first. Hurry up and chase. In this case, he didn't care about his brother who was eaten. They searched in the underground palace and found that there was a passage ahead and continued to move forward. After finding this passage, the remaining gods rushed over, but Zhang Ziyi stayed here. In fact, he deliberately tried to make them leave quickly. That was because, of the 99 dragon beasts, half died in battle, and the remaining ones turned back into statues, but the ones that had died in battle were all the corpses of the beasts. Their blood, flesh, and spirit were very strong, and most of the surging power flowing in the blood was still there, not completely lost. The swallowing Yuanju devours the blood, flesh, and spirit and the source of God. This beast must be blood, flesh, and spirit, but I don't know if its power can be refined into pure source of God. You can try it. He hadn't found the king of divine beasts in the ancient realm for too long. The number of dragon beast corpses scattered on the ground was so large that it was a feast for him. If they could be used by the swallowing Yuanju, then there would really be treasures everywhere. Where can there be so many blood, flesh, and spirit? If he didn't come to the ancestral dragon abyss, he might not be able to find so many in 2 years. Of course, it's too early to be happy now. He immediately started to try to devour a relatively complete dragon beast with the swallowing Yuanju. After a while of digestion and refining, the blood, flesh and spirit were indeed no problem, as vigorous as the king of divine beasts. The key was the divine source. He never expected that the power of the dragon beast itself was a kind of power similar to pure divine source, which was easier to refine. The only shortcoming was that the quality was slightly worse, and the amount of pure divine source was relatively small. But the key is that there are many dragon beasts now. It was indeed a feast. Zhang Ziyi didn't care about letting others go ahead. He stayed here alone and enjoyed this dragon meat feast. Under the swallowing Yuanju, all the dragon meat turned into blood, flesh, and spirit, and merged into his divine body, allowing his totem beast body to grow rapidly. When all the dragon meat on the ground disappeared, Zhang Ziyi finally made another progress. His source of destruction broke through to the 5th level of the God King realm. It was strong and huge, with an extremely powerful destructive force. Moreover, the divine body of his totem beast was also growing rapidly. Now his body was already very huge. Reaching the 5th level of the God King realm meant that Zhang Ziyi's power was increased again. Now, with the chaotic lightning, I am flashing in front of Xuanhuan. He may not be able to catch up with me. Basically, I am in an immortal place. In this way, he no longer needs to flee in embarrassment or hide. For example, when the God King Kong Kong got the crystal beast heart, no one would regard him as a treasure. The reason why he was regarded as a treasure was because everyone thought he was just a guy in his 20s who had just become a god king. How could they know that Zhang Ziyi, who was hiding in the dark, had reached such a point today? A generation of evildoers was born quietly. His eyes were blazing, and he had already stared at the passage behind. It's a pity that these dragon beasts turned back into statues, otherwise, I could have improved even more. The good fortune he got today has actually brought him close to the 6th level of the God King realm, and he almost broke through 2 levels in a row. The growth of flesh and blood, based on the swallowing Yuanju, is too easy. If Zhang Ziyi had the protection of a truly trustworthy elder, he could have grown to the 9th level of the God King in a few months. After all, the swallowing Yuanju is endless, and the horror of the Yuanqi Shenlong Sutra is fully reflected here. He quickly entered the new passage, and now of course he had to hurry up and catch up with the group of people. I don't know what they will encounter in front of them. Zhang Zizai shuttled through the darkness and came to a new passage again. This passage was as big as the previous one, surrounded by mountain walls, as if it was dug out. However, Zhang Zizai soon discovered that there was light in front of him. He rushed forward and arrived at this area. He found that the thick darkness behind him finally disappeared. In front of him was actually a place without any light, but it was normal. As long as it was normal, ordinary god kings could see everything clearly, not to mention Zhang Zizai. What made him depressed was that there was a fork in the road ahead. This was not an ordinary fork in the road, but one split into two, two split into four, and the fork in the road continued to split again. After several consecutive splits, Zhang Zizai estimated that at least 300 or 400 forks had been opened. In this way, if the less than 200 people just now chose different roads, they might be completely separated by these forks. Among the countless forks in the road, Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul was suppressed. He could only see the front and back of the fork in the road he was taking. When he actually entered, he found that it was a maze, intricate and complex, like a maze. A large network, connected to each other, densely packed. In such a huge network world, more than 200 people came in, and it was as if everything was lost. Anyway, Zhang Zizai walked in this maze for an hour and met no one. And even apart from the hard mountain walls around it, I haven't seen anything else. I wonder if Yanner and the others had a maze like this when they visited Xuanhuan before. With his current state, he couldn't get out of such a maze, let alone them back then. Therefore, Zhang Zizai believes that the two ancestors, Long Yuan, should be different. He continued to move forward in this maze of caves. The air was very dead and there was no sound at all. His divine soul at least explored the far distance in front and back. Finally, he found a person in front of him. When he got closer, he probably knew who is this person. It turns out to be the Yuxiu god king of Kangxiu divine realm. He is naturally impressed by this woman who is charming all over the country, stunning in beauty, and breathtakingly beautiful. The thing that impressed him the most is the long light blue hair. With aqua blue eyes, and of course that white and tender skin that can be broken by a blow, the whole person is completely like a work of art. But for some reason, she stood motionless for probably a quarter of an hour. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1272. Zhang Zizai explored and found that there seemed to be a flower in front of her. It was a big red flower, very gorgeous. Zhang Zizai hadn't approached yet, so he didn't understand it very clearly, but the things that appeared in Zhuanhuan must be linked to the harvest. If he hadn't broken through, he might not dare to approach Xuanhuan. After all, the other party was in Zhao Wuxian's camp and would definitely covet his crystal beast heart, heavenly artifact, and heavenly god talisman. But now he is not very afraid, at least if he runs, she can't catch up with him. After confirming that there was no one else around, Zhang Zizai wanted to see what the flower was and what it had to do with the colorful flowers outside. He approached quietly and finally came here. Xuanhuan didn't seem to notice him. He stood in the corner and observed the flower with his eyes. When his eyes met the flower, Zhang Zizai was stunned for a moment. He suddenly wanted to cry. He didn't know why, but he felt sad. It was very strange. He relaxed all over. At this time, Xuanhuan suddenly turned back and was also in tears. It was just that her water blue eyes were filled with tears. That kind of touching feeling was particularly distressing. The flower on the other side, the separation of life and death, the most painful thing in the world is that people and ghosts are on different paths, she said in a trembling voice, looking at Zhang Zizai with heartbreaking eyes. Zhang Zizai didn't know what to say. She saw him now, not for the treasure, but looking at him so heartbrokenly. What? Zhang Zizai walked out. He looked at the fiery red and delicate flower a few more times. When she dropped her tears on it, the flower became more gorgeous, as if it represented joy and celebrating something. Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt that her eyes and expression were so familiar, as if she had become another person. That person had lived in Zhang Zizai's dream for a long time. He thought she was completely dead, because people and ghosts really went their separate ways. She suddenly walked towards him, her eyes still trembling, but she tried to smile and said, "Don't you remember? I am your jeweler. I look different now, you can't imagine it. I knew you would come here, I came to the ancient realm just to find you." What? Zhang Zizai was struck by lightning. He took a step back, and when he looked at her again, he found that her eyes and movements, everything about her, were actually like Juxian. Although she was still Xuanhuan, her inner self was not, and her inner self was the person Zhang Zizai longed for. "But why, the people of Kangxue Divine Realm have nothing to do with you?" Zhang Zizai's voice trembled. He was very confused, and the whole person was a little dizzy. Everything in front of him was beyond his imagination, and he could only stand there. "She didn't like this memory, so she just found someone to replace me. Now, I am an independent person, but it's better this way. Although my appearance is different, I am still alive. In the end, there is no difference between human and ghost, right?" Her smile was full of tears of joy. Seeing Zhang Zizai appear, she seemed to have encountered the best thing. "Did you disappoint me? I am not a powerful immortal now. I am not even a god. You don't still miss her, but she doesn't take you seriously," she said softly, tears full of love. "No, I was just too surprised and didn't react." Zhang Zizai's voice was still trembling. He felt like he was dreaming. Now he only had her in his eyes. She seemed to have completely turned into Juxian. Even though he knew there were some differences, this was another person's body, but her inner self was Jur. The person Zhang Zizai thought he would never see again. Immortal, not her. She moved her steps gently, as if she had crossed thousands of mountains and rivers, and finally arrived in front of Zhang Zizai. At this moment, she trembled and slowly stretched out her hand, wanting to hug but stopped, then looked at Zhang Zizai eagerly and said, "You are not as pretty as before, so you don't want to hug me?" "No, no," Zhang Zizai said hurriedly. He no longer hesitated or confused. He stretched out his hand and hugged the woman in front of him. In fact, she looked cold, but her body was very warm. When she was hugged in his arms, when Zhang Zizai's palm moved on her smooth back, her appearance had completely changed into that of Juxian. In Zhang Zizai's heart, Xuanhuan had completely disappeared. At this moment, the passion was like fire. The flame that was extinguished by the immortal venerable completely burned up and turned into a raging fire. The violent burning completely ignited the two people. Zhang Zizai was not without longing, but the immortal venerable had not allowed him to miss her. This longing had been suppressed to the extreme. When it broke out at this moment, it was so violent, like dry wood and raging fire. The woman in his arms could not stop his violence at all. The weak body showed amazing strength in the storm and responded enthusiastically, as if she had waited for a long time and finally waited for this moment. At this time, clothes were just cumbersome obstacles, and they would be torn into pieces as soon as they were torn, leaving them naked. The intimacy of skin was even more blazing and passionate. At this moment, even the heaven and earth could be forgotten. The whole world seemed to have disappeared. Between heaven and earth, there was only the red petal in front of them, blooming warmly, as if celebrating victory. No matter how much cold stares he had endured from the immortal Lord, how much longing he had for her burst out at this moment. These were all passionate emotions. Now, every time he looked at her, she was the ninth immortal, and there was no Xuanhuan at all. Unconsciously, the countless fragrances of the red flowers almost turned into thick fog, entangled in the bodies of the two people, like an invisible poison. At this moment, Zhang Zizai himself had no control, and the Chaos Soul Bell suddenly appeared, blocking the red fog and surrounding Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul. This was a tearing moment. Zhang Zizai suddenly woke up, and the person in front of him was clear. It was Xuanhuan, even if she was naked, rosy all over, like a little white rabbit waiting to be slaughtered. It was Xuanhuan, definitely not Juxian. Those lies were very low, but in this terrible confusion, Xuanhuan had been tricked early, and Zhang Zizai even fell into it. Fortunately, at this last moment, the Chaos Soul Bell protected his body, so he did not really have a relationship with her, and he could be regarded as stopping at the brink. When he suddenly woke up, the red flower actually broke directly, condensed into a red petal, and fell into Zhang Zizai's hand. Xuanhuan, who was naked like herself, shook her head. She suddenly found herself lying in front of her in a vulgar posture, with a man kneeling in front of her.